I'm going to do this a little bit backwards. I'm going to give the conclusion first, and if you want to see the rest of the video, then you can get some idea of how I got to this point. It's been a torturous 3 hours of getting this done. So what started out as (9.9 centimeters). Sorry. What started out as 9.9 millimeters, and I turned down on one side to about 7 centimeters, and on the other side also about 7 centimeters. So that means I took off about 2 millimeters. And toward the last, as I tried to take ever deeper cuts, I had a lot of problems with the tool holder not staying steady and twisting and binding up with the material. I wish I knew how hard this metal is. Came out of a scrap bin, so I have no way of knowing. So I'll ask a question. Maybe you can answer in the comment section. Is rebar normally very hard as opposed to regular mild steel? Because I would say now, while this is not impossible to turn on that mini lathe, unless I get a lot better at machining than I have so far, I'm not sure it's practical. But I did receive the live center for the rear stock, so, and I was doing this with a fixed center. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. That would certainly put a lot of tension on the material, whereas a live center wouldn't drag. So tomorrow I'm going to pick this project up again and see how much difference the live center makes. Also, I really do need to tear down the tool holder. There's a little bit of slop in it, and I probably need to shim that up so it tightens absolutely. All right, so the rest of this video is the trials and tribulations of a piece of rebar. Well, this is the minefield I've created. I have to really watch my step to keep from tripping over something. I will eventually get this squared away. Just don't know when. Oh, Lord. Of course, all the welding stuff's outside in the carport. This is the plasma cutter and other this, that, and the other. This is the piece of rebar I've been working on, and this is really, I think, really testing the limits of the lathe. I am running into some real problems with this, and how much of it's the tool, the user, or the fact that I'm trying to work without a live center I don't know which is which. It was cutting pretty good until I got down to I don't know what. And then suddenly it began to really shatter a lot, and also the tool holder, I couldn't seem to get it tight enough for it to stay in place. So I don't know what to tell you. This particular piece of rebar may just be too hard for this little press to deal with. I'll get in the live center, I think, today or tomorrow, and I'll try it again. But otherwise, it's pretty much of a pain. I've tried several different tools. The little small thin one is not going to get it. I'll have to weld a shim plate on it to make it workable at all. So I'm back to using the tools that came with the lathe. I had bad things to say about them earlier, but actually I don't think there's anything wrong with the tools, those tools themselves. Remember, I have a piece of stock that is not straight, completely straight, and I was depending on the dead center to hold the rear of it in, and I'm not sure that's working out too well. As time passed, I became impatient and started trying deeper cuts, which led, I think, to my problem. Tomorrow, after I install the live center, I'm going to try it again, and because at this point in time I had pitted up the rebar so bad it tended to catch on previous cuts, so I'll have to run over it several passes with very shallow cuts to smooth it out. But I'll let you know how that turned out in the next video. By the way, I ran it for about 2 hours straight under some pretty severe load. I'm not sure it's rated for that kind of duty cycle, but it performed that well enough. So I may have to tweak it up a little bit, but I think the lathe itself is okay. The video is sped up 8 times for this part of it. Sort of like watching paint dry, isn't it? I used a file on this a little bit, but the file hardly touches it, which leads me to believe this is very, very hard steel. If the file doesn't work on it very well, I might be able to use a flap disc angle grinder to do this, but I'm not sure I have enough room to get it down in there. Please subscribe and hit like if you like this video. Thank you.